In this episode, we're building a bridge. Hi, welcome back to Halton Warren OO-9. I'm Mark. And just before we get started, I'm just going to run a short clip. It's about 30 seconds, which gives the answers to the little just for fun quiz that I did at the end of the last episode. Now, shall we just say that the response to that was more quality than quantity? In fact, only one person, a bloke called Chris Burton, responded to it, and it was certainly quality. Not only did he answer the clips, but he also told me the information of what the little credit thing was at the front of it. And so well done, Chris, you were the only one who responded, and probably because you did so well, maybe the others thought didn't need to bother, or maybe they just didn't bother. Anyway, here's the clip. Be back to you in a second. Right, so there you go, there's the answers. I had a good time in Wales. I saw those over 2 weekends. I saw those railways, and it was good. I enjoyed it. The second time I was on my own, and we've got another trip planned to Wales this year, so get some more railways in. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get on to this bridge building. So the plan is to build a bridge here, and the bridge will take the road from the village at the top here down behind the station, which is probably going to go here, then round over the bridge and then into the estate manager's yard. This is the cardboard template I've cut out. It's more or less in place. As you can see, it curves around and it goes into the estate manager's yard. The apertures here for the bridge openings I've done so that the coach, these are the longest coaches I'll be using, so I know they're going to fit through. But they've got to be able to go through without touching the top and touching the sides, obviously. So they're right on both sides. I've checked that. So we can get rid of that for a moment. Now the problem I have got is this board needs to be able to lift out. This is the estate manager's board. Underneath here is the helix. So if I need to do anything to the helix, I need to be able to take this out of the way. The way this bridge is set up at the moment, we've got the aperture there for the bridge. For this to be able to lift out, if this is made out of plywood and screwed and glued down, I've then got to put a joint in the bridge, and it makes it a bit flimsy here, I think, so I'm not happy with that. Also, and I'm just checking to see if you can see it, yep, which is just this area here. The road comes in from the village here, this road comes up from the estate manager's office, and there's a road junction about here, or there's a bend where the two curve. But I've got very limited space there, so I've got to get an embankment in with the road on it, which means the road basically has got to taper down into the back scene. And how do I hide that? You know, I can put a tree in front of it, but looking from the sides, it's going to be a bit obvious and not very nice. And if I do put a tree there, have I got enough room with an embankment and a tree? I might just about get away with it, but I'm not sure. So I had a thought about it. And with those two problems, what I've decided to do, so I'll get this piece of cardboard out, because all that is holding up the village area. I'm now going to move this along a bit to about there. So I've still got the aperture here, which is okay, but this aperture is now out of line there. But by doing that, I've got a larger space for the embankment at the side there. So I can get a road in, build up an embankment and have a tree on there without crowding it on the track. The other thought I've had is that this is now away from here, so I could have my joint in there to lift it in and out. And then I'm thinking, because it's on a curve, if I've got brickwork and I'm using the wheels, is it, or ratio, plastic brick, this kind of stuff, the embossed brick plastic. Now if that's on the edge there, and I've got a curve there with a joint in it, will it be the fact that in the weather, with the changes of the temperature and the dampness in here, and it's on a curve, will it start springing apart? So that's 3 problems I had. One, I've solved that one because that's no longer near the join. I've now got the area there where I can get an embankment and a tree in, but then that left me with a problem here about will the plastic cards spring away from that gap. So what I've decided to do is make this now as a module to lift in and out. And as I say, this aperture here is in the wrong place. So what we've done is take that away and we've cut a new one. So that now goes in here, and it probably won't line up this time. Just hold that back in with the bradawl. So I've checked all these gaps again, and by the time that track's round, those apertures are now in the right place and will allow a carriage to go through, a coach or carriage to go through. So that's fine. I've now got the new template for the front here, but I want to make sure I get that curve in. And how do I get that curve in? So I obviously need some form of stiffener in there. So what I did was I've got another bit of cardboard, if I can get it round the right way, and that will slot in there. And then that starts to form something that I can glue up against. That gives me the shape that I need to come round. And if I take that back out the way, it will give you a bit more of an idea. And that's slipping down. So put painting on there. Right, so this is the edge. And what I did was, while that template, the cardboard template, was in place through here, I've marked up with a Sharpie on the track bed so I know exactly where that comes. I then used the piece of cardboard straight edge on those 2 marks, and the one on here was actually in a bit, so I've just put it in and then cut it off. So I know that all lines up with the edge, and I know that my face will go onto there. I want this to curve round into the estate manager's yard. So some of you might recognise this, and this is the template. This is a 12-inch radius arc that I used for when I was doing my track lane, to make sure I got a minimum of 12-inch radius for my trains to get round. But all I've done is use that radius on here as well, and that will give me the nice curve to get round into the estate manager's yard. Now that's all very well and good, but it's a bit short. So this last section, I haven't got a former behind it, I haven't got a template for it. So got rid of that one. And we then cut out another one. Now this is the beauty of mocking this up in cardboard, especially old cardboard boxes to start with, is if you make a mistake or you're not happy with it, you can just get another piece of cardboard and cut it out. So now we've got the curve that comes all the way round. We've got the fascia, which will go on here. And that gives us the curve we want as well. Like that. So to build this mock-up, what I will do is put some glue on the inside edge of this piece of cardboard that's laying flat, put the fascia on there. What I need to do now is mark out how wide I want that road bed at the back, draw that out and cut it out, and then I need to do another one of these templates, and you never know, that one might just fit, and put that in the back. And then glue that one in place as well. And then we've got the kind of a mock-up going. So not only will I have the templates when I come to cut out the plywood, though I'm now thinking possibly about mounting board, using mounting board instead, but I can use these to draw around as templates to cut out the pieces. But I can see what the structure is going to look like as I build it up. I can see how I'm making it and where I need to put the uprights and the supports and the strengthening, so that when I come to build the actual bridge itself, I can just copy that and know exactly what I've got to do. And I'm not faffing around, I'm not cutting pieces of plastic that I've got short stock of and wasting bits and pieces. I'm doing all the wastage and all the planning and all the design out of cardboard, and then I can get on and make the actual bridge unit itself. So next step, as I say, is to mark out where the road's going to go. I'm going to cut that, make a new template if I need to for this, and put that in place, and then I can make some strengtheners or some uprights to strengthen this all up. Once I've got that done, I can then cut these out, this piece of track here, and not a piece of track, but this piece of card, So I've got clear on for the track to go through, and the same there. And as I say, to make up a mock-up. So instead of talking you through that, I'm just going to get on with it, and I'll see you shortly. As you can see, I'll put it back in place. I've just put a carriage in there, and it is tight, but it does actually fit through. So I might have to do a little bit of fettling there. There is a kink in the bridge structure here, so if I straighten that out I might get a bit more room, but we'll have a play with that. This side looks okay as well. That goes in there and comes out on that side. And if I just put you down again, I'll move that coach and just check that side. Right, that's catching on the roof, but I've got to trim that out anyway because it's only a support. But as you can see, it does go through there, and it has got the clearance. So I just need to give a little bit of fettling on this side as well, which is easy enough to do. So and that's the beauty of doing it mock-up in this cardboard, because you can cut and play with it and make sure you get it right before, as I said earlier, you commit to your main plastic card or whatever you're using, and you don't actually get around to wasting any of that. But I'm quite pleased about the way that's coming out. I've got to get a road surface in, but whether does the road surface come? So we need a little bit thought on that. But for now, I'm just going to strengthen this bit up, and then the other thing we've got to do is work out how we get the road running off here. So I might have it coming in here. Yeah, I've just got to work out where the road surface is going to be first, I think. But as you can see, it's coming along. That needs bending into stitching with there. The lower track, as I said, it went through, it all lined up, but it was rubbing on the ceiling, on the top, the ceiling of the tunnel portal, or the bridge aperture. And you can see why, because this is in the way. That needs cutting out, and obviously when the interior part of the bridge is done, that'll form this curve, so this won't be here to get in the way of the coach coming through. And all I need to do is fettle this a bit more to get the coach to come through from the other side, which will be down through there. Right, so we've done a little bit of fettling on here. We've taken out the cardboard from there to form this gap, which now means the coach runs through there without any problems, and there is enough clearance that when I put the lining for the inside or the interior of the bridge aperture, the coach can run round through there and it won't get caught. Now on this side it was slightly different, that's just popped, but we had that glued so it was all nice and straight. But even doing that, the coach was catching on this side, just on this part of the interior. So what I've done is I've marked that off and drawn a curve on there. I don't know if you can see it, and that just needs cutting around to join up. And once that's in place, that coach should run through there quite easily without catching there. So I'll get that done. The next stage is to work out where the road bed is. Now at the moment all I'm doing is tacking this down with the old hot glue gun, as you probably notice. And the reason for that is I want to be able to pull these out. These are going to form the templates for me cutting out the parts of the actual structure of the bridge, the proper bridge, not just the prototype, but when I make up the model. Right, so as I say, the next stage is to get this the road bed in. Now I've got to work out how high it's got to be. It's obviously got to clear the top of the arch. It hasn't got to be so high that people are going to fall over the edge of it. Also, it follows this curve around here, but if I cut out a bit of card there, and I know it's not a great length, but once I start tipping it down, it shortens the length slightly. So I've got to work on that plane as well as the curve. So it's kind of working on a three-dimensional, but that's trial and error. And as I keep saying, that's the beauty of the cardboard. I can keep cutting and trimming until it fits properly, and then I've got my other bit. So we'll do that. We'll get onto the road bed now. Right, so I haven't done the road bed yet, but I have done a little bit of trimming and cutting. So this aperture here is now the same width as the track bed rather than the track, so that gives enough room for that coach to get through. I've strengthened up the insides a little bit, but I've also cut this at the same angle and truncated it off at the same point as well, so it all looks neater. So yeah, the next stage is definitely to get the road bed in, and then I need to work out what I'm going to do here as well, because I want to do that actually in the design of the bridge, whether the junction is off scene or whether the road comes in and joins up with this somehow. But I'll have a think about that while I'm doing the road bed. So this road bed, now if I was a mathematician I could probably work out that and that, but I'm not. And while I'm talking about stuff, the reason why I'm doing it in cardboard as well is that you watch some of these YouTube channels and some of these blokes have got these laser cutters and things where they get all this done on CAD and then get it cut out on a laser cutter. I can't afford a laser cutter, so bits of cardboard, that's the way to do it. Anyway, I think this is going to be trial and error. So saying I had loads of cardboard earlier, I'm getting a bit low on it now. I need another dog food delivery, which will be next week, because that's where most of this cardboard comes from. So what I think I'm going to do is just try and cut this out roughly and see if I can get it to fit. It's going to need some trimming and stuff, but it's back to the old carefully draw it out and Sharpies. And as I say, it's a bit of a practice to do. So if I do that, now this is going to be too wide because I'm doing it on the outside. But if I rock that back, as I say, it's just keep trimming and cutting this until hopefully it fits in. Right, that was a bit of an abrupt end to the last clip. The battery ran out on the camera, put a new battery in, and of course I hadn't charged it, had I? So it's been a couple of hours, but it's given me a chance to grab a cup of tea. And also to have a play around with this, which is going to be the road bed. So if we bring in this and then gently, there you go, that fits in there quite snugly at the moment. So at least I've got a template now for the road base. What I was saying earlier as well about how far this road base has got to go and where it comes on the walls. This at the moment is right on the edge of this the top of the arch there. It doesn't matter, but it's just how much height of the wall I want there. And also here, because this is just a mock-up with the cardboard strengtheners at the bottom there, this doesn't go flush with the ground. But the actual model won't have that, so I can cut that back a bit and make sure this road bed goes flush and there's a nice transition between this and the ground level. So what's the next bit to do? Well, I want to do the transition between the bridge and the road that goes up to the village. The idea is, as you know by now, is this will be a lift out section, but it's where to have the end of this bridge and how to hide the join. So I'm going to put this back, slot it back in on the layout and see where it is, and then try and work out what I'm going to do with that that transition. Okay, so the mock-up of the bridge is in place, and I must say I'm quite pleased the way it's looking. I think by the time I've actually made this into a model, it's going to look quite good. Anyway, as I'm saying, the next bit is to transition the bridge into the village road. Now, as this is a module to come up and down, I need a join somewhere. And I'm thinking if the join's about here, then I can have the bank in here and the tree or bushes to actually hide the join. So now what I've got to do is decide how to curve this round. And there's quite a bit of room there to curve around. I can't curve it round as a road width. And that's for two main reasons. One is there's not enough room. And two, what I'm trying to avoid with the country lane is, and if I get a piece of some cardboard or something, if I've got the back scene in here, what I don't want is the road to be like that, with the road edge hard up against the back scene, because I don't think that transition works too well. It depends what the back scene is. So I want a small gap down there so I can either make a little embankment but put bushes or trees just to break that sharp edge up. So I think I've got room here to do it, especially if I curve the road into it, but it's just how I deal with this area. And the way this is looking at the moment, I'm probably okay to bring that round, start the curve about here and bring it round, and then that will reduce the amount that this road, because this road is going to have to taper in to the back scene, so I want to reduce that as much as possible because I don't want it to look too false. I know it is false, it's a model, but to try and get it to look as nice as possible. So let's have a play with these curves and see where I think I can get to with that. So, as I say, I need to try and work out what this curve is. Now, what I've done is I've cut a strip of card, which is the same width as the road there. Now, you might have seen me earlier, what I was actually doing was using the coach to get kind of two coach widths. Now, this is kind of country lane. It's going to be horse and cart coming up here. It's in the 1920s, so it's probably going to have one or two carts a morning, afternoon, a day. So it's not busy. So cutting this to the right size, what I've done is lined it up with there. That gives me the gap at the back here for the back scene to go in, and also the transition. And looking at it, I can probably get a curve on there, which is very exciting. Well, it is for me anyway. So just got to work out what the radius of those curves are going to be. If that comes down there, if I cut that off, I could stick that in place. Just cut that, I don't know, what do you call the wall on the side? It's like a balustrade, isn't it? Whether that's the right word for a bridge, I don't know. But then I can match in the card here to try and get the curves in place. So I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so that went fairly straightforward, didn't it? So we've now got the road extending down here onto the bridge. We've got room here that we can curve that edge of the bridge round, and we can also start curving this edge round as well. Now you saw I dropped a square down and it's come to about 1 inch away from the edge of the aperture for the bridge. There's still plenty of room for me to get my back scene in here, which will actually lay flat on this strut here. But there's still enough room there to get a little bit of embankment or some bushes or long grass or there, just to break up that scenery break between the road and the back scene. So all I've got to do now is work out what the curve's going to be on here and what the curve is going to be on the front. Now I'm more worried about the one on the front, but this is an embankment here, so the grass can actually come up fairly straight, so it looks like the start of a cutting for the road bridge. So if I get something that's a bit, shows up a bit more, what we're looking at is something that goes up like that. So the wall only needs to curve around the top section there, which is, I've got plenty of room to do that. And I think that's going to work all right. That will obviously, the embankment will come further out all the way down. That's still a bit tight. But the fact is now that I'm going to have the curve here, I'm not so worried about having a big tree in there to hide that junction. So I'm quite happy just with some cuttings and maybe some bushes or just something just at the top to blend it in there. As I say, the join between the bridge and this scenic section here with the country road will be about there, so this section will lift out. So as soon as I finish that curve and it starts going on the straight again, then that's where I'm going to have to join. So let's have a play with these curves. So it's not too straight, but as you can probably see, what I'm doing is I'm extending the line of the walls, and then what I've got to do is draw my curve in there. So if I can line that up as well, if I can get that more or less the same distance from the back wall, probably easier to measure from that side. So that's 10, it's 10, and hopefully it hasn't moved that too much. And then that is 10 centimetres, that's 10 centimetres. Put a mark there, and then what we do is we'll join those two up. Right, so what's the point of doing that? Well, this is going to be my road bed, so now I can draw in the curves and cut it out and see if that works. So I'm just going to move this and move the camera across, and we'll get that bit done. So these two green lines there, which I hope you can see, line up with the bridge, so we know that the road's coming in from here. This line here runs off with the edge of the blue dotted line on the cardboard, which is the base of the village. And if I grab this bit of cardboard back as well, that is then the, let's do a line down there. See, done it again. Just put down my green Sharpie and it's vanished. Anyway, I've got a black one here, so we'll do a line there. Oh, not long enough. Right, so as I say, this is the road from the village, this is the road off the bridge, and the idea of doing this is so we can get a template for the curve that we need. Now this one is quite a large curve, this one's a bit tighter, and it's just using something that's round to try and get that. And I'm quite happy because I looked at that tin and thinking trying to get something to bend round at that diameter is going to be tight, and again, will it spring apart? But by the time you get it onto your plan, it's only a short bit of the curve you need. Now I want something that's going to sharp a bit differently, and I can't find my green Sharpie, so I've got a blue one. So that's that edge there. And then for the one at the back there, we need something a bit broader. And I think my whiteboard that I've been using, the 12-inch one, is going to be too big. Yeah, that's going to lose too much, so I just need something a bit narrower to go in there. It's always the way that you can't... Oh, hang on. How about that? Look at that. Almost spent roll of masking tape. Should have done it by hand to start with. So there we go. Now I'm going to cut this out and see how it fits in. But these curves I'm working to aren't too tight, so again it should be easy to perform those, and they shouldn't spring apart on me. So I'll cut this out and then we'll put it in place and see how it goes. Okay, well I found my green Sharpie, it was under that board, but now I've cut out that piece of wood and I've tried to draw around the edges so it makes it a bit more obvious that's in the green. So you can see that fits in there quite nicely. We've got a curve at the front, we've got a curve at the back. So I think that's going to work. I might want to bring it forward just this way a little bit to start the curve off a bit nearer, just to give me a bit more of a gap at the back there. But that's not too much of an issue. So I've been having a bit more of a thought about this. I'm not happy with this bit. I've trimmed it off a bit and I still think it's too tight to the back there. So what I've done is I've redrawn that template. So I can get that old one out the way and hopefully not move the one underneath too much, which I have. So we'll just push that back. Right, so try and get the camera working in the right direction. So I've cut out a new template and the curve now starts back here and it's a lot smoother and it's a lot shallower curve. So what I've got now is I've got plenty of room to get the back scene in there and maybe a little bit of scenery if needed, and also obviously the wall's got to go in there, but it just means that it's away. So when I lift this in and out, it's not going to scratch the backboard, it's going to be easy to get in and out. I've still got the gap there at the back that I can get an embankment in and a bit of scenery to give me a split between the road and the back scene. And what I've also done is at the front here, I've given this a better curve as well. That was quite tight, and that meant cutting just back this a little bit here, which means that the curve starts a bit closer to the aperture for the bridge. But I'm not too worried about that, because what I'm going to do is fabricate now a wall to come around here out of a thinner card so I can get the shape and manipulate it a bit better. Right, just giving you some shots here of how the bridge is. I think the mock-up's just about there. There's little bits here that this road surface will obviously come in and fit more flush in with the baseboard here. At the moment it's got cardboard underneath keeping it all ridges and stuff, but as I said earlier, that'd be cut back to there so we got the nice road transition in. Around here the tunnels all meet up. There's a bit more work to do on those, and also, as I say, there's that little bit of wall to come around here. But if that's stuck on here, then once this is all taken apart, I can use all my templates. So I think that for the mock-up is just about done, so I think it's time to wind this video up. Well, that's it, sitting down. It's been a busy day and a half getting this together. I've enjoyed doing it and I've learnt a huge amount. So, what have I learnt? Where have we got to with this? The original plan came because I have a village at the top and I've got the estate manager's yard down here, and I needed a road entrance into the estate manager's yard. Now I could have just simply put it at the other end and finished the village up at the top here with no connection. And I thought, no, it'd be nice if they could come down, because you've got the workers coming down and you've got deliveries coming in and out, so it'd be nice to have the two connected. If you've got the two connected, I've got two railway tracks to go over, so I need a bridge. So first of all, I just got a piece of cardboard, drew a couple of arches, tested it and thought, yep, that looks good. So then I thought, I've got to develop this. Now, being model railways, we think we've got acres of land to deal with, so we get these grand ideas in our heads, and then we start putting them together or drawing up, and then we start building and find they don't fit. So my idea was I would make a mock-up to see how it fitted in and whether it would work or not. So it does, and it also showed me that some of the ideas I had were wrong and wouldn't have worked, and some of the fears, if you like, or concerns I had were not unfounded but could be overcome. So what were the fears? One, the bridge wouldn't look as good as I wanted it to, because, as I say, this covers two baseboards, one of which has to lift out. Now if the bridge is screwed and glued down, that would mean a gap, a join in the bridge, which you can get around, but I thought, no, I don't like the idea of that. So as I'm building this, I thought, module, lift it out, no problem. We don't need that join. We do need a join, but that can be at the top here, and that can be nicely hidden away so we don't see it. Another concern was that the roads would come in and go off scene to some sort of road junction, and to get them off scene they would have to taper down because they're coming in at an angle. Then I've got to try and hide those and make it look as realistic and as easy to the eye as I can. But I'm thinking, you know, there's a lot of work involved there. Have I got the room to put bushes and trees and stuff in? actually making the mock-up has shown me that I haven't got that problem either, because the road can come round a curve off the bridge. And yeah, it's going to be a bit tight with the embankment. Is it realistic, prototypical? I don't know, but it's going to work as far as I'm concerned. The other way of doing the mock-up is that I've ended up with a number of templates that I can use to now make the parts for the actual bridge, the model of the bridge. So basically, once I've transferred those details over to the boards I'm going to use, I will end up with a kit of parts that I can put together and get a better quality, a nicer looking bridge. The other reason for doing a mock-up is that by building it, I know where the strengtheners need to go, the uprights to keep it square, etc. And I know where they can go and where they can't go, so I don't block the road surface. So that's it. Got to get those plans kind of decided how I'm going to do it, what materials I'm going to use, whether it's the mounting board, the photo mounting board, or plywood. If whatever one I use, what glues I'm going to use, what will work, what won't work, how I'm going to get these things to bend. There's lots still to do on it, but I'll cover that in the next video, and hopefully by the end of the next video we'll have a bridge that we can put in place here. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.